Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Leiluy nishmat. So, our brothers in Chutzlaretz, they came out of Yontif and they turned on the news and they all want to know what is going on. I got many phone calls. So I can just tell you from my perspective, we are sitting here in Eretz Yisrael. We have 2 days of everybody's very sad. People are very down. I don't want to use the word depressed, very down. Living in a neighborhood where you hear the sirens, you hear bombs. You probably hear the bombs all day long, and you hear the planes coming over every 30 seconds. Another one. And from our shir alone, we have a Baruch Foreman, who sits in the back. He had a tremendous aliyah this year. He comes every single day, and after davening, he learns another daf from another Masechta. Baruch Foreman. How? With the H, I know. U-H. Baruch. So, Baruch, he's on the front lines. My own nephew, Mir Simcha Ben Adina, front lines. We know that a whole brigade of Golani was wiped out from the front line. It's tsar after tsar. Since the Holocaust, there was never a loss of Yidden with that kind of number in one day, in a single day. And we're all very bitzar. We feel it here. I mean, the only thing, if people say to themselves, well, if I was the president, if I was the prime minister, I'd go in there and carpet bomb it, and I'll do this, and it wouldn't happen b'chlal. And all you say is, you see the Yad Hashem in the good, you see the Yad Hashem in the bad. HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts machshavas in the leaders' minds. And if there's not going to be a carpet bombing, it's because he put that machshava in there. And if they're going to make peace tomorrow and you don't like it, it's because HaKadosh Baruch Hu put that machshava in there. And the only thing that we could do is we could learn more Torah. And instead of, I really want to tell this to the Olam, I think it's important, especially for those in America. Probably going to be looking up and down on all the sites and all the WhatsApps. And I'm asking you, as an Eitz Toiva, do not look at those videos, the ones that show the Yidden, the women, the children. It's going to leave a roshim in your brain that you'll never be able to erase. Do not look at them. Do not view them. And instead of watching those things, say a kapitel Tehillim. Use your time wisely to say more Tehillim, to learn more Torah. That's the only thing that we know how to do. I have to ask Mechila from our executive director, Tomer. This is not a stop. I'm emotional like everybody else. He brought in a crew yesterday. They wanted to do a video for promotion for the Shabbos. I said I can't. I just can't speak. I didn't speak b'kovid. Mechila. But with that being said, we have to say Tehillim Rabbi Isai b'kavana lam natzeach mizmol David elcha adinoi v'yoyim tzara segef Rochel Milei Yaakov Yishlach ezricho mikodesh u'mitzion yisodeko Yizkor kol michoysecha ve'lo zchidash neselo Yiten lechoch l'vavecha v'chol atzos choyim alei Neradino b'shu osecha v'shem Eloheinu nidgo yimalei adinoi kol mishalo yisecha Ato yadati ki oishi adinoi mishicho yanei mishmei kodshoy b'gvirois yeisha yiminoi Eile v'orechev ve'eile v'asusim v'anachnu b'shem adinoi le'yeinu naskim Hey makorov v'nofalu v'anachnu kamnu v'nisoidod Adinoi Yoshio, Hamelech Yaneinu v'Yom Koreinu. Shir Hamalois Mimamakim Krosicho Adonoi. Adonoi Shimon v'Koili. Tieno Oznecho Kashuvois Likoi Tachanunoi. Ima v'inois tishmorio adonai miyamoy. Kim chas lichol imanti vorei. Kivisi adonai kivson nafshi v'dvro yecholti. Nafshi l'adonai mishomrim la'boike shomrim la'boike. Yachei Yisrael Adonai ki Adonai Chesed v'arbei imo yifdos. V'hu yivdas Yisrael mikol avonosav. Acheinu kol beis Yisrael anesunim b'tzara v'shivya ha'omdim bei v'yom v'yom Yerushalayim mokim rachim aleim tzimim tzimim v'alchim fe'elohim shuv geula. Shtam b'gados man koriv v'nimar omein. First time. As I'm reading this pasuk with you, Ele v'orecha ve'ele basusim. They came in with jeeps and with motorcycles. Susim. In today's day and age, it's a sus. It doesn't get any funnier and sillier than a motorcycle. They have hostages on motorcycles. That's how they. In the day that we have tanks and jeeps and Humvees and chveisvas, they come in with the susim. Ele v'orecha ve'ele basusim. But we have HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boys, at today's daf, we're going to learn the zechus, the captives, the shvuyim, and I recommend if you could go to a private place and just think for 15 seconds, imagine your own daughter in the situation that these women and their children are in. Just picture your own flesh and blood with these roitzchim, these achzorim standing over them, and who knows what they're doing to them. Just picture it for 10 seconds. You have to mamish feel it in your bones and be with them in that tzar. Today's shir is being sponsored by the Lakewood NJ families, Lakewood NJ, because torah and achdus are the best segula, the Masechta. Sponsor of the month as a zechus that our family should be blessed with health, simcha nachas for 120. Parnas Hachodesh, Hatzlocha the zechus, Yosef Miriam ben Rochel. Parnas Hachodesh, Elan, Chaim, Golan, Leiluy nishmat Batsheva, Chaya, Miriam. Parnas Hachodesh, Leiluy nishmat zechrya ben Moshe. Parnas Hachodesh, Leiluy nishmat Chaya bas Yosef. The heart of the month, Yosef ben Chaya Sarah, for the zechusim that come from supporting limud torah. We have with us some chashve guests, and I have to ask Mechila. I forgot his name. He came in from Gibraltar. He was here for a few shiurim, but he drove in all the way from Bnei Brak yesterday. And because we decided as a group that we're going to limit the amount of people in the Beis Medrash to 15, we didn't allow him in. There was other people that we asked to leave, and we couldn't allow him in. And there's a big tzaddik from the shir, Reb Stengi, who got up and gave a seat to one of the guests, and somebody else got up and tried to give him, Rav Halpern tried to give him a seat. They said, no, I don't want to take it. But later on, I kind of did tshuvas hamishkol. I saw him in my house. I gave the kid some gifts. And we wish him well. They're on the way now back to Gibraltar. Haset, his father's the Rav of Gibraltar. And then the kid is only, 12 years old, and he's been doing that for a very long time. Shalom Aleichem to the Rav of Ukraine. Yishkoyach for coming again. You're ready. This is familiar, chas v'shalom with the Yidden, but in terms of war and bombs. In Ukraine, you have this? You have the bombs? What? In Ukraine, really? Wow. Okay. It's mamish to see the Iron Dome go up, to hear the thuds. If you just listen, boom, boom. I thought that I woke up early in the morning to learn. It was on Shabbos, and I thought it was thunder. I said, this can't be thunder. It's just not shaykh. It's one after another. Then I realized I had to wake up the mishpacha. Okay. Rabbi Sai. Oh, we're holding, by the way, on Daf Noyach, like 10 lines down. Ashkechinu Mar Yehuda Rav Yosef Rav Shmuel Bereder Rabba. No, that's not it. Sorry. Nun Zayin. 2, 4, 6, 8 lines down. Begla Rufa. Nun Zayin. We learned in the Mishnah that things that are asur bahana that you can't benefit from, so you can't be mekadesh a woman with. But if you sell that item to somebody illegally, so the isur is not nitfas in the money. The money is mutter to be mekadesh with. So now we're going thing by thing. We learned in the Mishnah, egla arufa. So this is something that Yoshi worked many hours on. I'll show you what he did here for egla arufa. Here you have the scanim of both cities, trying to figure out where the dead person belongs to, how close it is to one, and it happens to be smack in the middle. Take a good look at this picture because it took him many, many hours. I'll show you also how I know it took him many hours. And they basically, when they measure, they see it's exact, so they have to bring a calf, and they bring it to a special, to Nachal Eson, to the hard rock bed, and over there they oirif the head of the egla, and they say look, they have to take some achrayas because there's a mace over here and they need to do tshuva for it. So over here, this is Nachal Eson. So the way he got to this is through AI, but he wanted to show me, and I have here from 1:21 in the morning, 3:59 a.m., the amount of prompts to get to what I wanted to, b'di'eved. I wrote crazy, fine. And then he shows me here the prompts. Each little tiny box, hundreds and hundreds of tries to get to certain people the way he wanted it. It's not what people think, that you just type in, 2 cities, old men in the middle, and boom. It doesn't have many, many hours and hours of redoing, so whatever. Okay. And here he is, like, what time is this? 4:05 a.m. That's he's still conversing with me. Okay. So be'egla arufa, and I'm not trying to show that I'm up at 4 because that's already late for me. Okay. I'm just kidding. But no jokes today. Be'egla arufa, menala. How do you know that it's asabana? Amud Beis Rabbi Yanai kapara ksivba Kiddushin. It says the word kapara here. Kaper la'amcha Yisrael, asher pediso Hashem, v'altitam damloki b'ker v'amcha Yisrael v'nikaper le'madam. The word kapara. So just like kachim, this is ism ilah, it's also bahana. So too, egla rufa. Once we know egla rufa, so we're going to say the other egla. We'll see later. Tzipayim mitzayr. When a person speaks lashon hara, he gets tsaras, and then there's a whole process of what he has to do. So he has to bring 2 here. Nachamal, it went fast. Here he has a beard, the hair. He has to shave off all his body hair. And he brings 2 birds. He brings a piece of cedar, ezayv, shnisalas. He takes 1 bird. He shechs 1 bird. It was too late already. He didn't. We have it actually. We have an animation of where the blood goes into this vessel. And then he takes the other bird that's alive and he dips that bird into the blood, into the whole mixture, and then they release the bird. Where do they release the bird? Where? It says in the pasuk, Al Pnei Asada, we're going to see later on, this exact place where you release the bird and how you release the bird. Okay. Says the Gemara, Tzipayim Mitzayah. So these birds are also, or one of them is also Bahana. Min Elan, how do you know? The Tanad Be'er Vishmal Nemar Machshir U'Mechaper Mibifnim. So, Shom Aleichem, Kim Tzaran. We actually have a seat over there if you want. Whatever. Okay, good. Once I'm here, what's your name, Tzaddik? Chesky grows from? Monroe. Okay, please edit that out. Shom Aleichem, what's your name? Rokach from? London. That's your son? Hanochas film today. Mazel tov. I'm happy. You see, in your zechus I asked him. Otherwise, he could have just forgotten to ask. Okay, you really like Boimer? Wow. Okay, listen, it's not that bad. Sometimes people come the day before and they don't. Okay, Ishkoyach. Thanks for coming again. So, Nemar Machshur Mechaber Mefnim. So here it goes. There's something called a machshir. There's something called a mechaper. Mechaper is easy. Mechaper is like a carbon. A carbon gives you a kapara. Mechaper, that's easy. Like a chatos, a egla arufa, like we just discussed. The cow, the calf that you bring, it's mechaper for the murder of this person who we don't know what city, who murdered him. There's no levaya. Levaya meaning they didn't accompany him out. Whatever the reason he died, in food. They have something called a machshir. Machshir is something that allows you to do something else. It's not a kapara. The asham mitzayra, the asham that this mitzayra brings in the Beis Hamikdash is not for his kapara. It's to allow him to come into the Beis Hamikdash. It's to allow him to do things. Same thing with the tzipayim mitzayra. It's not part of the kapara. It's not because he spoke lashon hara he has to bring birds. This is part of the process of him becoming tar. So if you see on the right column that the machshir and the mechaper there's no difference between them. You treat a asham of a mitzayra the same way you treat a achdus. There's no difference. Mela, there's no difference between the machshir and the mechaper on the outside. What you do outside of the Beis Hamikdash. The egel haruf is also outside of the Beis Hamikdash. The tzipayim mitzayra are outside of the Beis Hamikdash. Nemar machshir mechaper mibifnim. It says the asham mitzayra, which is the machshir. Umechaper is like any carbon. It doesn't have to be achdus. Any carbon that brings a kapara. And also talks about the machshir, which is the tzipayim mitzayra, and the mechaper, which is the egel harufa mibachutz, the ones you do outside of Beis Hamikdash. Ma machshir mechaper, just like when you're talking about the inside ones, the two karbonos are the same. You take the carbon, you put it on top, and the mizbeach doesn't matter if it's a asham, if it's a chatzis or oila, it's all the same. Also by machshir mechaper, just like the egel harufa, a boy says also b'hana, that we just established. It's also b'hana, it's a kapara. So to the tzipayim mitzayra is going to be identical to the egel harufa because it's a machshir b'chutz. It's a mechaper b'chutz. Is that? No, sorry. It's the machshir is like the mechaper. The tzipayim mitzayra, which is a machshir, is like the mechaper b'chutz, which is also b'hana. Yeah. Itmar. Tzipayim mitzayra mosai asurim. There's a stam as I'll tell shir with the olam, as everybody else, no different than everybody else. I'm not 100% there. Like I'm not focused. Like everybody else. But in addition to that, I have a very personal dilemma that I'm going through now in my personal life. And I was running around to Poiskim, to Gdolim yesterday, just to figure things out. And every single person that I know, the people that I'm close to, and I ask, this guy says 100% yes, and this guy says 100% no. And it's so with the fog that I have in my head, my brain is like all over the place. To sit down and learn is difficult. But kids, okay, I'm just telling the Olam, like every case in America, they don't chap this. I'm sure right now they're probably more bitzar than we are. We're like 2 days in. They're just chap now. What's going on? Okay. Itmar. When exactly does the Isser apply to this bird? It's also bahana. What bird and when and how? You purchased 2 of these sparrows. Did we call them sparrow yesterday? What are the little guys? People used to eat them. The kosher. You shechta, you eat it. I don't know how much meat is on there, but you from the time that you shecht it, one you shecht, one you don't shecht. The one you don't shecht is not also bahana. The one you don't shecht was never also bahana, says Reb Elchanan. So you have 2 birds. They're not also bahana. You have them in a box. They're not also bahana. You take one out. It's still not also bahana. And you shecht it. At that moment, it becomes also bahana. What about the other one that you left free? You dip him. First you do a whole thing to him. The guy doesn't know it's flying. You dunk his head in some blood, and then boom, you let him go. But he's not also bahana. No, because Rashi says not like that. And then Rish Lakish Omar, how could it be also bahana before? Rabbi Yochanan says shchita makes it aser. So how could it be aser before? What made it aser? Shchita makes it aser. You have 2 birds. One is Reuven, one is Shimon. Shimon you did shchita to, he became aser. Reuven, how did he become aser? What? You didn't do shchita. Rabbi Yochanan says shchita. So he flies away. Rish Lakish Omar, mishas lekicha. So Rish Lakish agrees to you. When you purchase the 2 birds, they both become aser ba'ana. So they become aser ba'ana. So what about the one that flies away? He's aser ba'ana. He's in a box. He's aser ba'ana. Oh, when you shecht it, when you shecht Shimon, bird number Ruvain, it's a funny guy, he's Ruvain, he becomes mutter. At that shechita, he becomes mutter. The shechita of Shimon is matter Ruvain. Glad they have these birds. I should have brought in props. I have those birds somewhere. Okay. It makes sense. There's nothing happened there, so it has to be the shechita that made it also. Why? Just like egla rufa becomes asur like a carbon when it's alive, so too the birds. We learn from egla rufa. Vegla arufa gufa memosai. So think about it. You have a calf. You're bringing it down. You're walking it, marching it down to the Nachal Esan. When did this calf become asur bahana? It's not a carbon. You didn't say, this should be an oila, and that moment it becomes asur bahana. You didn't donate it to the Beis Hamikdash, so it should be kodesh kedushas damim. That it should be asur bahana for kedushas damim. So it doesn't have kedushas aguf. It doesn't have kedushas damim. So when in the world did this become asur? There's some sort of phase in the process of the egla rufa, and at that phase, whenever that phase is, that's when it becomes asur bahana. But I don't remember. I don't remember. So my friends got around and they try to figure it out. Common sense. Since the pasuk says the Torah says you have to bring the egla into the Nachal Esan. By the way, there's a sefer Nachal Esan by Reb Chaim Kanievsky. He has a whole lot of shaylas and questions and all about the egla rufa. It says v'iridu. If you found, let's say, the egla let's say the egla lives in Nachal Esan, no good. The zechiyuv v'iridu. You have to bring it down. So that's a phase. Just like there's a phase of purchase, that's a change in this animal. There's also a change when you knock its head off. There's something in between. There's something before knocking its head off. It's called v'iridu, taking it down to the nachal. So you're telling me, but when you purchase the egla, it's not also b'chlal. It's nothing. So as Reb Elchanan, how could Reb Shlokish say that when you purchase it over here, it seems like that purchase is nothing? Says the Gemara, there's a phase called v'iridu, but there's no phase of hirada, of bringing a bird somewhere. So it says lekicha ksiva by v'iridu zikneir segula. Okay. It seems Taisa just points out what I said before. The v'hiridu seems like a tzivui, whereas by the birds, you have to take the birds, but it doesn't say you have to bring it somewhere. You have to do something with it.
Which
Taisa mi islay. Says the Gemara, another question. When the Torah says you can eat all Torah birds, all, it's coming to include something. It's coming to say that the bird that you set free, you're allowed to eat. If you catch it afterwards, you can eat it. And this one, you shouldn't eat from it. It's coming to say that you're not allowed to eat the shchuta. So we have two birds that the Messiah brings. One you're allowed to eat, one you're not allowed to eat. The one you shechted is asur. The one you sent away is mutter. Now the Gemara is going to ask, I'm just prefacing it here so you remember, maybe the one you shecht is mutter to eat because you shechted it. I don't know. And the one you sent away is asur to eat. Who told you which pasuk to use for what? That's the Gemara going to ask soon. But if you're telling me that these birds become asur from the moment that you bought them, so I need a pasuk to say, this bird is asur to eat after you shechted it. Says Gemara, yeah, I do need a pasuk. Why? When you have a oila, it's mamish aser, it's also bana, it's also everything. But when you forget the oila, talk about a chatas for a second. Chatas, you shech the chatas, so now the coin becomes mutter in the chatas. You shech the shlamim, now the owner also becomes mutter in it. So you see, shechita helps you. So I would think also by the bird also. So by the bird also, the shechita should be matter it. That's why the Torah has to say, no, this shechted bird is also kamashmalan. Eisvei. Shechot v'nimtzis streifa. If you shechted it and you found that it's a treifa, says Rashi, that the word v'nimtzis, I found it, means that it became a balmum now when you shechted it. Why? Because let's say it had a damaged brain, like it was, you see the skull is dented in, it got a gesunte zetz, it flew into somebody's mirpeset, into a glass wall, and it has a thing over here, and so it's not nimtzis. You didn't find it, it happened before. Nimtzis means it just now occurred, just figured it out now. So the halacha is, yikach zugla shniya. One of them is mutter, one of them you could use, you take the other one. Take another one. And the first one is completely mutter b'hana. As the Gemara, but if they both became asr b'hana from the moment that you purchased it, what released it from its kedusha? When something becomes kaddish, it doesn't become unkaddish without transferring the kedusha to money, to shechting it, doing something. You can't just say, oh, it's kaddish. It's not kaddish. It's mutter b'hana. It's not pshat that you shechted it and you did a bad shechita and that's what you found out afterwards. Pshat is it was a treifa which it can't survive very long from the moment that you purchased it. So you never purchased it. Your whole purchase was off because you bought something that's not roi. There's no kedusha that was chal in this bird. The chal kedusha klal. Eisvei shchot shlei be'ezav shlei be'itzeres shlei b'shnisoy las. Here's the pasuk. So the pasuk says, tar birds, these sparrows are tar. Veitzeres, right? You'd be surprised. You think only pigeons are tar. No, these little sparrows, the brown ones that fly around, the tar. You can eat them. Veitzeres, it says in the red, Eitzeres, Shnisolas, Veizov. And it looks something like this. Here's a piece of cedar, a red crimson thing, some hyssop. Fine. Says the Gemara, but what if you didn't listen to the Torah? You shechted it without the necessary ingredients. You don't have the Ezov. No, you already dedicated it for the Tzipayr Mitzvah, so it's also. No, you shechted it wrong, in the wrong way, Muteres. Says the Gemara, so the whole shaila is it a good shechita or not a good shechita? A shechita, in other words, it goes like this. What does shechita do? Shechita removes the nevela of the animal. Sometimes you can't even eat the animal. Sometimes you find that it's a treifa, you can't eat it. We did shechita, it's no longer a nevela. There's no tumah, it's not a nevela. So what, is this a shechita? So there's a shechita that says that shechita, she'eina ruya, you don't consider it at all, for many different things. It's not considered shechita at all. So that's the shayla. Shechita she'eina ruya, since it can't be a good bird, it's not considered shechita. But the kuli alma miyum mechayim lemitasra. The whole shayla is the shechita made is a good shechita, not a good shechita. But everybody agrees that this bird, Rish Lakish, what are you going to do with this? It says over here, the bird, when it's alive, it's not awesome. Says the Gemara, no, Rish Lakish, you're right. From here, it's mashma like that. But Tanai, he has somebody else. He has a Tana. Like we had before, we have a machshir and we have a mechaper. Machshir means it doesn't give you a kapara, you didn't do avera, it just allows you to come to the Beis Hamikdash. Mechaper means you did an avera, you need a kapara. So you compare the machshir and the mechaper inside the Beis Hamikdash to the machshir and the mechaper outside the Beis Hamikdash. Just like Dosh Mitzayir and the Chatos or whatever carbon are the same, you put on the Mizbeach. We took the Tzipayr Mitzayra and the Egla Rufa, and what? And just like this is the Nakuda here. Just like it. So the tzipor, the bird, is like an egla rufa. And egla rufa is also when it's alive. That we already established. It's also. We said, when you bring it down to the nachal ezer, it becomes also. So to the bird, when it's alive, it's also. Zok the Gemara Gufa. Kol tzipa ta'ir techelu. You should eat every kosher bird. The rabbi says some shulachas. Even this bird that you sent out, you set it free. The rabbi says shchuta. I don't know if this is true, but me personally, I would say, if you ask me which pasuk goes to what, I would say the bird that you shechted, you did a shchita on it, is mutar to eat. The bird that you sent out somewhere is also to eat. Why did you flip it? You said the bird that you shechted is also to eat, the bird that you sent out is mutar to eat. So what's a good svara, Rabbi Isai? What's a beautiful svara? Just common sense. That if you sent out a bird, I'm just saying, throw it out. If you sent out a bird into the street and it's also to eat, and what happens if Shimon goes and catches it? So what, he just ate an isser? He doesn't know. So now from now on I can't eat any sparrows. Because maybe it's tzipori mitzayra, I don't know. So how could it be that the Torah said, send out a bird and let it go free when it's also to eat? Stop throwing out a svara there. No, it's impossible that a free bird is osir. Why? Because nowhere in the Torah do you see that an animal is osir. Is that true? There's nowhere in the Torah that an animal is osir? I'll give you a few cases. Says the Gemara, if somebody designated an animal or a person actually bowed down to an animal, here's a live animal, it's mamish aser. Says the Gemara, that means you only also to bring it as a carbon, but as you as a personal use, it's mutter. For all those in need of Refuah Shlema. And by Kidnovations, in honor of my uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman, as a zechus. Can you imagine 2,500 people, their lives are changed forever? Hopefully not so many, but 1,000 of them. Missing legs, fingers, and who knows what. Brain damage. They just found hundreds of people hiding near the border. Really? Oh, that's good news. That kind of news we like. Not like yesterday when they found 30 people and the parents came out, b'simcha gdoila, and it turned out that they were of Zarim. We're talking about Avodah Zarah here. Yesterday they found 30 people and parents were waiting for their children and they saw them coming out of a pipe. They were hiding over there by the rave concert and they ran towards them and then it turned out that they were all illegal immigrants hiding. They weren't their sons. But you're saying they found how much? Hundreds of people that were hiding? Without cell phone service. Without cell phone service. Wow. Okay. Baruch Hashem. But that's. I'm warning the Olam. I mean, you have to warn. There's a lot of ups and there's a lot of downs and there's a lot of hostages. We have no idea. We have no names. We don't know numbers. We don't know anything. Right now we're in the beginning. Ki asir legavoya. Oh, Basir. Oh, Kidnovations. I'll go to Reb Elchanan Pressman as a zechus for a year filled with Mazel, Bracha, Hatzlocha, and torah for all of them, the wife family. Says the Gemara, so Rashi brings this pasuk. This is in the second pasuk of Chumash Vayikra. And it says in the pasuk, Mina Behema, Mina Bakar, Mina Tzoy. So Rashi says, he brings the Gemara that each one of these, they're extra words. Each one comes to say another Aveira. You're not allowed to bring these as karbanos. One is Reveah V'nirva. Says Gemara, Hare Reveah V'nirva Be'edim. And Rashi says it has to be Be'edim, and he brings the pasuk because it says that you kill the owner. It means just like you kill the owner Be'edim, so to the animal. Believe it or not, you need two Edim to testify. You don't just kill an animal. Torah's makbid on Edim. The Bali Chaim Ninu Vasiri. If somebody had relations with an animal, it says over here in the pasuk. So it becomes a shara niskal. We spoke about shara niskal yesterday. You have an ox that kills a human being, he's chayiv misa the ox. But over here's another animal that's also a shara niskal. You have to kill it because it's with another human being, and it becomes aser. Mamish aser. Also to you, forget about it becomes aser bahana like a shara niskal, not to the mizbeach, to you. So what are you telling me? There's no such thing as an animal. The reason why the bird that you let free must be mutter, it's because there's no such thing as an animal that's also. Here's an animal that's also. Here's a reveya, a nirvamin, that's also bana. You're right, there is a case. But most animals are mutter. So in Mela, it doesn't make sense that this tzipar should be asr, the one that you released. The one that should be asr is the one that you shechted. The Rebbe Shmuel Tana, the Omar Krov V'shilach al pnei hasada. Over here it says in the positive, you sprinkle the mitzvah 7 times with this bird that has blood on it, and then you let it go al pnei hasada on the field. V'shilach al pnei hasada. So what's al pnei hasada? You let it go. What does the Torah have to say on the field? Says Gemara kisada masal the muteres afay na muter to teach us that it's mutter. Says Gemara, what are you talking about? Hay sada lachadasa. It's known. I need the word sada. How many boy like the sanya? Sada shalayamid bi yafoy v'zikren aliyam. You shouldn't stand on the wall of Yafa, looking over the sea and letting it go into the sea. You have to let the bird go. Your Rabbi said, we never knew this, right? Halachas of a mitzvah. You take the bird, you let it go over a field. Just yesterday, somebody sent me a unbelievable speech that somebody said just yesterday. Like, I don't know if what he was, but he spoke. But the last words, I just thought it was interesting because I haven't heard Yafa in a long time. He said a line, and that's how he finished off his speech. He said in Hebrew, he said, if you don't make Aza Yafa, then Yafa is going to turn into Aza. But that was his line, Yafa. Akoponim. It says like this, Begivas, don't stand on the wall of Givas, Vizirken Midbar, and you'll throw it into the desert. So you're not allowed to send the bird out into the ocean and not into the desert. You can't stand outside of the city and send it into the city. You have to stand by the wall of the city and send it to open field because the Torah says Pnei Sada. So don't tell me Pnei Sada is going to tell me that, it's mutter like a Sada. So what is he going to do? He has to come up with this. He has to also know this halacha where you release a bird. My hasada from the extra. Hey, Shema Minotarti. He learns 2 halachas. That you have to first that like a sada that's mutter, so to the bird that you send out is mutter to eat if you catch it. And second, that you have to send it over a field. It's impossible. The Torah said, send this bird free, and then if somebody catches it, he'll be eating Isser. Besar nozim in Elan. Here's the pasuk. I threw it in. The Torah tells you you have to send it from the wall. There's halachas in how you send the bird away. This is just from yesterday. Here's our famous nazir. I don't know if I mentioned that this nazir. I interviewed him, and I think he has like 40,000 views. Probably the most watched video of MDY. Nothing to do with me. Everybody wants to see this nazir. So over here, you see, he takes off his hair, he holds it in his hand, and he puts it under the pot of the shlomim, and he burns his hair over there, and it's also bana. So if he were to take these hairs and be mekadesh a woman with it, it wouldn't work. It's also bana. So check this out. This is very important to see inside. The Torah says, he's not allowed to use a razor. Says Rashi, this is only one of 13 times that the Torah removes the vav from the word kadosh. And the reason is because kadosh and kodesh are 2 different words. Kodesh means, what does kodesh l'Hashem mean? That's hegdesh. Kadosh means it's holy. Okay? It's different. Kadosh means holy. The vav is between the dalid and the shin. But if the vav is between the kuf and the dalid, then it's kodesh. It's like a carbon oila. Mugdash. Kodesh. So then why does the Torah say kodesh without a vav? To tell you that you can put the vav wherever you want. On the one hand, it's kodesh. It's like hegdesh. On the other hand, it's holy. It's kodesh. So let's see inside. So I learned from here that it's kodesh. You put the vav. How do we read it? Kadosh, as if the vav is at the end of the word. But the Torah took the vav out of there because we're going to read it for us, for our pshat. We're going to say it's kodesh, not kadosh. Kodesh. And memela kodesh is also b'hana. So that's how I know that the hair of the nose is also b'hana. That's the Gemara. But wait a minute, if you tell me it's kodesh, ima kodesh toivis is dama v'yotzel chulin, afsar noz toivis dama v'yotzel chulin. So what if I sell my hair as a sheitel? Remember, I saw one of my relatives at a chasana, and I said, "What's going on with this long hair?" She said, "No, I'm growing it. This girl has yena machla, and she has the same color hair as me." I thought he's hacking me a chaynik. It turns out that he really did it, and not only that, he was kind of insulted that he mentioned it in shir. We made shalom afterwards. Not mamish insult. He says, "Oh, you knew right away. Within 10 minutes, he called me up. Whoa, I really gave it the whole thing. Fine. Guy wants to sell his long hair, like this nazi has hair up there. Wants to sell it as a sheitel. You need 30 centimeters, and you give it as a sheitel. Sell it. What would happen? Just like kachim, if I take not a oila, but I take an animal that's owned by the Beis Hamikdash, and I buy it from the Beis Hamikdash, so my money becomes kaddish, and I get the animal. But I could transfer Kiddushin into money. But what happens? What happens for real? Think about it. If I were to take this sar nazir that the Mishnah says is asabana, sell it as a sheitel, take the money, be mekadesh a woman. Does it work or not, Benny? It works. That's what the Mishnah says. That the Kedusha doesn't transfer, the Isser of Isser no doesn't transfer to the money. That's what we said today. That's the end of the Mishnah, the last line. But according to you, it should transfer to the money. It should be Isser to be Mekadesh a woman with it, because it's like a carbon, like a hegdish. Not a carbon, but hegdish. Says the Gemara, Mikarin and Kodesh, Kodesh Karinan. Oh, says the Gemara, no, we're dancing on two chasanas over here. On the one hand, it's Kodesh, it's like hegdish. On the other hand, it's Kadosh. It's holy. It doesn't use the same halachas as hegdish. It's like hegdish, that's also ba'ana. But it's not like hegdish, and that's exactly why the Torah didn't put the vav in there. Because you can read it both ways. You're supposed to read it both ways. On the one hand, you read it kodesh, that it's also ba'ana. On the other hand, you read it kadosh, that the isser doesn't transfer into the money, and if I use it to mekadesh a woman, mekudeshes. Bepetach hamar. Over here, you see a Rebbe doing petach hamar. He's actually redeeming the hamar. Now, if you don't redeem it, it's also bahana. You have to take a thing, chop the head off of the chamar, and then it becomes also bahana. It says in the pasuk, look, and if you don't do this, that thing that the Rebbe did, you have to cut its head off. Name assistant like Reb Shimon. The sign petach hamar also bahana. Reb Shimon by Yochai says that a petach hamar is also bahana. I'm sorry, Divrei Reb Yehuda. Reb Shimon Matri. Reb Shimon by Yochai says it's mutter. And our Mishnah says it's also ba'ana. When the head is chopped off, then even Reb Shimon agrees that it's also ba'ana. How do you know that Basa B'chalav is also ba'ana? I saw a very, very interesting shayla. What do you say, Rabbi Isai? I'm asking you shayla. Tell me what you think. A yid is an electrician, and he gets called into McDonald's to fix the electric. Mutter for him to fix the electric or not?
Why not?
Why not? That's why I'm saying this halacha. When I bring a halacha, is to push your button, to get you mad. It's awesome. Reb Chaim says it's awesome. I also thought it should be mutter. That's why I'm saying it. Because you're helping him, and you're having enough from his whatever. Okay. I have a riddle. I have a riddle. How is it possible that a person is not allowed to eat milchiks? If he eats fleishiks before, very good. How is it possible that a person is not allowed to eat fleishiks and he's not allowed to eat milchiks? No, everybody's eating. It's not Yom Kippur. Everybody's eating. He can't eat not fleishik, not milchiks. Oh, the answer is a few minutes after the 9 days come in, and he just ate fleishiks. So he's not allowed to eat fleishiks because it's the 9 days, and he's not allowed to eat milchiks because he's fleishiks. If you have a bris during the 9 days, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, something like that, right? Go see him. Happened to you. You go to see him after, yeah. I noticed that Yosef Asher Gedi b'chalei v'moy. It says it 3 times. All 3 times are by the end of the Aliyah. 3 different parshas. The famous Gemara that bas b'chalav, cooking it together, is also to eat, also to benefit, and it's also to cook it. The Sanya Reb Shimon ben Yehuda, and we're going to see tomorrow that it says Mefurish Reb Shimon ben Yochai, so that's why a lot of people are not Goyers Reb Shimon ben Yehuda, the Goyers Reb Shimon ben Yochai. Bas b'chalav bas b'achila umuter b'ana. He argues on this whole thing. He says the bas b'chalav is muter b'ana. Shenever gam kodesh hatol Hashem lekechol is vashik b'chalav v'imoy. La la no. Oime vashik kodesh tiyulin by treifa. Ma la la no b'achila muter b'ana. Treifa is muter b'ana. Afkan no b'achila muter b'ana. So our mission doesn't go like Reb Shimon ben Yochai or Reb Shimon ben Yehuda. V'chulin shenish chut b'azar. We have a little bit of a sugi here. That is, if you take a pashut animal that's not a carbon, you bring it into Beis Hamikdash into Azara. Right here above me, you can see the Azara. You bring it in there. It's also bahana. How do we know? You bring my karbanos into my house, into my Beis Hamikdash, and your animals, you shechting your shlachtos. Don't mix them up. If you bring a carbon, you shecht a carbon chatos in middle of Bet Shemesh, it's also bahana. Why? Because the chatos is hegdish. It's also b'meila. You're not allowed to be moil in it. And if you're moil in it, it's also bahana. And if nothing happened if you shechted it. So the issue remains on it. So too, yours and mine, if you bring a simple animal and bring it into the Beis Hamikdash, shechted, it's also bahana. So the Gemara, if you take a chatos and bring it into Bet Shemesh, you chayiv kares. So too, if you do that in the reverse, you bring a simple animal, bring it to the Beis Hamikdash, you should be chayiv kares. The kares is only on one case of you bringing a chatas outside or a noila outside. Says Gemara, but if so, you just told me that this kares, we never went this late, but we started a little late. You just told me that there's onish kares. No, so if there's onish kares, that's why it's also ba'ana. But if there's no onish kares, by you bringing in a shepsela into the Beis Hamikdash, there's no onish kares, so maybe it shouldn't be also ba'ana. It says 3 psukim, one they're all by shlamim, but by a para, keves, and a eis. Lefi shenemar. Are we going to be able to do this? Let's just do it quick. For all those who just walked in here, I want to tell you a big chiddush. Maybe you didn't know this. When Klal Yisrael was in the midbar, it was usher to eat meat. Did you know that? If you had a sheep, you weren't allowed to shecht and eat it. You knew that, Benny? You didn't know. So it's a good thing you came today. The only time it was mutter to eat meat is if you brought it as a carbon. That's it. Unless it had a mum. If it had a mum, you're allowed to eat it in the midbar. Once Klal Yisrael went to Eretz Yisrael, and Hashem said, you're going to live in Tzfat. You can't come to me every time you want to eat a steak. You're going to come all the way to me. So I'm matter it to you. You don't have to come to the Azara. So, this comes to say that you're not allowed to bring chulin into the Azara. Fine, we'll stop over here. Boysai, have a wonderful day. Psuris, toivois, refuah shlema to everybody.